Hey, everyone. Someone here. That's good. It's always amazing when I start a live and people join. Sorry, I'm sitting on my bed tonight, so that's why it's shaking around. How's everyone going? It's a difficult, um, difficult topic to talk about tonight, and I want to treat it with a lot of respect. And it's so many people go through massive trauma and they don't get any help, and that makes it even worse. And when the people that are causing the trauma should be people that are creating safety. And this is to do with an account from a friend of mine. And it's harrowing what this person went through. Because when there's with there needs to be more access for people to feel safe and be safe. Not just feel safe, just be safe. But to feel safe, they have to be safe. And when there is no one there to protect them, it just makes things worse because it leaves them vulnerable to be hurt again and again, you know. Um, you, this sort of thing that happens to people, uh, and it's happens to so many people. We need to do more as humans to just let people know that there is ways to get help, to get to a place of safety, or to um, find that safety. There are a lot of people doing work these days to actually get people to be able to let people know that they need help because they're in danger. So when people that should be in positions where they should be that safety fail, it creates a big problem for these people because they've already been hurt and they've been hurt over and over, and there's no one there for them. But they don't give up. They keep living. They keep striving. It's not easy. But we live in a world of predators and monsters that prey on the weak and vulnerable, and they take advantage of that position. These horrible creatures often get away with doing these acts, and to the point of it being their lifestyle, the way that they live, an industry. Industries they grow, they get bigger. There's a lot of survivors out there that have been through all this, and they're living their lives. They didn't have to go through any of this pain that they're going through. It's it's such a big topic to talk about coercion, manipulation, especially in the respect to such a serious matter where it is when people get hurt, they don't reach out for help sometimes because in the past, when they've been told to shut up. They've been told they haven't been listened to. They've been ridiculed by the very people that are there meant to be there to protect them. And so, what does that do? That does immense damage. But these people are survivors. They don't give up. They may have had their heart broken, but they gather it up and they push forward. No one was there for them. It's heartbreaking when these are the people that have got such beautiful light shining, and all that happens is people come to take it and diminish that light. It's, it's such an evil thing in this world, but they don't give up. They keep striving. Sometimes some people fall off the rails, and that's horrible. And we all do that. If you've got complex post traumatic stress disorder, then you know what it's like. You have society that doesn't care, but that doesn't mean it's not going to stop you. That just because society doesn't care doesn't mean you can't care for yourself. And there's good people out there. It's this overarching oppression that comes from silence, complete silence. But it's not complete. It seems complete because when these survivors, they they show immense amount of ability to continue, and they show immense amount of compassion and love. All this living in a state of fear, all this with being preyed upon by the worst types of people. We need to show compassion and understanding to all of these survivors. We need to help them because they weren't helped when people needed them. They need to feel safe. They need to be safe. And they can feel safe. People need to care for them. There's a saying, you're either at the table or on the plate. I don't agree with that. I'll get up and walk away if that's the case. And if I'm on the plate, I'll do everything I can to get away from where I am. People that survive the most horrible things need understanding and compassion and love. There are good people out there that do this. Sadly, most people are afraid. Most people are complicit because they stay silent. They don't want to say anything. So these people that go through this, uh, they're living in turmoil, but they have got such beautiful light because they see what's possible in life, regardless of what's been given to them, regardless of what oppressive world we live in. We can't reject them. We have to love them and support them and give them that safety that they were taken that was taken from them, that was never given to them. One of the most painful things with all of this, and this is something that anyone who's experienced extreme trauma understands, is that there was no one to speak to. There was nowhere to go. There was no one to help. So these are the things that we need to change in the world. And there are lots of people working on this. There's lots of people, but there's not enough. We need more. We need more. We need more. There's there are things we can all do. There is things we can all do. What we got have to do, what we have to do is we have to acknowledge the evils of the world, the bad things that go on in the world. We have to do something about it. We need to be there for people that have gone through the most horrible things. In society, so many people don't care about any of this stuff. All they care about is their next holiday or, you know, where they stand in society themselves. They couldn't care about anyone below them. But let's not forget we're all equal. People that people that do good in the world, they're not doing it. Some people do it for some reason. Most people do it because they have a want to help. They want to make things better, and they do what they can. One of the most painful tragedies of humanity is that we persecute the victims or we don't protect them. And so, why do you think it is that they don't speak out? Why do you think it is they don't go to the police? Why do you think it is they stay where they are when they can get away? Because they feel like there is nowhere to go. But there is. They can do that. But it's not easy. And lots of people are in very, very dangerous, difficult situations. This is a very big problem these days. And it's getting worse. We need to fix it all. Awareness helps because anyone who's not afraid to call out the evils of the world is helping to stop the evils of the world. When no one says anything, it just continues. So people become futile, but there's there is ways. There's ways. There are some really nasty people out there in the world that do some nasty, nasty, horrible things. But there are so many good people out there. So we need to do what we can somehow. I saw a interview the other day, and this person taught teach everyone you know, and this is for adults and children. That hand sign doesn't matter which hand. It can be upside down. That means that person's in danger and they're being abused. So do what you can to help them, to rescue them. Everyone in the world should know this hand sign. And if someone sees it, they let them know with a thumbs up or an okay sign or acknowledgement, and then get help for that person. There are so many people that are trapped right now in the world. I saw a statistic, and it's something like 80% of trafficked people are in indentured in they are because of the internet and through the internet. So it's very difficult for these people to even do that. They keep them locked up inside houses where they can't move. They keep them under camera supervision. They control everything about them. They have them trapped and locked. They can't do anything. So, how does that help them? Maybe it can someday. But it can help people from any situation. Because there are so many good people out there. So if you see someone do that, you know that they're in danger, and then you just call police. You get people around to help this to rescue this person. So humans are getting better at trying to work out ways to stop what's going on in the world. I'm sorry about this difficult topic. I haven't gone into any details about anything, but everyone understands how bad it is in the world, and that it's all just ongoing. So Glitch is here. How you going, Glitch? Yeah, it's all good. Says hope you're doing well. Thank you for that. Says I'm doing good with what I'm saying. And when people feel safe, they are less likely to lash out too. Absolutely. That's what happens too. A big thing is people get broken down. Go fastest here, awesome. Good to see you, brother. Says I'm a little late, but here now. If we can talk about this. This is a big topic. I mean, I'm sure everyone's understands, you know, the depth and breadth of this is everywhere, and it covers everyone. Everyone's affected. Everyone knows someone in some way because it's so many forms, and it's it's not just the hashtag that I put, which is the extreme form, which is slavery, indentured slavery, and trafficking. It's anytime anyone has had experiences where they haven't been able to speak out and they haven't been able to feel safe. But yeah, I need to take a break for a second. I'll be back in a minute. It's just some incense I've got. Just thought it'd help. Bit of incense can help. Mm. Um, People here have understand trauma and complex trauma. A lot of people don't understand it. They might understand a little bit of it, but they have no idea what it's like. But it just gets worse and worse. Some people just, it's, there is no, things that should exist as far as these systems of safety and protection don't exist for these people. So they have to live with the fact that no one's coming to help them. and that is heartbreaking. So some people, this happens to them. It can happen at any point in their life, but for some people, it happens from a very young age and it continues. But these are some of the strongest people and the most happy, loving people because they don't give up on what they see in humanity. Even if they know that there are bad people out there, they know there's good people out there too. It doesn't protect them from this world we live in. What can we do? Stuff's so ingrained. Even the people that work within protective services that are meant to look after children, meant to look after victims of assault and much worse, or not necessarily worse, but other things. I don't try and I try not to compare because any form of interpersonal trauma is very painful. I don't have anywhere to ash the incense, so I'm gonna have to just keep grabbing it every so often and putting the ash in the spot because otherwise it's going to land all over my bed. But I didn't prepare to have that, so I could. Here we go. I've got a candle holder. I'll put it in that. It'll catch the ash. There we go. Beautiful. I know. Go Fast says it's 1:41 a.m. There you go. That's not too bad. It's still pretty late, but you know, that's a good time of night. Hope, hope you're doing well. Now I'm saying, everyone knows someone that has been through some form of abuse or violence, and it's such a difficult thing, and it causes such pain. And you know, I think we, as humans, we need to do more to protect people from the predators and the vultures. We need to give them a place, somewhere to call, a way to let people know, like that hand sign I was talking about earlier. Compassion, understanding, and love for these people. We understand these processes that go into some of these really horrible crimes that go on. So people can be aware more of what's happening around them. They can maybe be able to protect themselves. We can have better trusted connection to services that can look after people, that can help people. You know, the world is nature is beautiful, you know, and nature is brutal too. It's not easy. If you're an animal living in what the wild, you have to deal with everything. But they keep going, you know. And nature is this amazing thing where everyone speaks and lets everyone know. You know, when there's a snake traveling through an area, all the birds call out. So all the other birds know there's a snake coming through. And they'll have different calls for different types of snakes. Same thing for when there's a storm coming. Same thing for when there's fire, earthquakes. Animals know, and they will speak to each other. And there is this language in nature. And yet humans, they haven't we haven't done this as much. But this does exist. People are speaking out. But I think this problem is such a big problem that it requires it requires the people that contribute to it all to be taken into account. So if I give an example of that, I think it was 83% of human trafficking is done through online slavery. I don't know where I read that from a reputable website that was specialist in this, but so it's difficult for me to quote statistics or anything. But that just goes to show that almost all of it are people that are trapped in their house and they can't leave. And they're being made a product. So who's profiting off this product? Who is contributing to it by paying for it or allowing it to happen? Who's actually facilitating it? Who is protecting it? Who is pretending it's not there? There's so many people involved in this stuff, which says middle of the day here. A bit busy, but I found out this channel activity helps me a bit. Maybe because people acceptance or something, but it helps. But this is that's it's nice to hear because there are so many individuals right now that are trapped into slavery. And it can be a child, it can be an adult, it can be a wife. In this formal type of abuse that I'm talking about. They don't they don't have anyone around that's there for them. If they knew that they could get the right help, they would. So education helps. It's difficult to talk about these difficult topics. But the most vulnerable are also the most neglected and then preyed upon. If you look at that statistic I was talking about, this is big, big money. Harmony Seeker's here. She says hi all. How you going, Harmony Seeker? It's a heavy topic I'm talking about tonight, Harmony. Talking about people who are indentured and being abused. And there is a spectrum where it goes from the most extreme to less extreme, but I think everywhere along that spectrum, it's all abuse. So, um, but the incense, it is helping because it sort of changed my mood from it's given me some form of a distraction to talk about this. So, what are the biggest problems in this situation? Access to law, access to lawyers, access to the right detectives, access to protective services. So, in the extreme cases, these people are trapped. They're literally prisoners inside a house, and they're under constant surveillance, and they're given threats. Their abusers, have learned dark arts of mind control, and they practice these dehumanizing, you know, techniques to break these individuals down. It's often very subtle. So they you heard the word grooming. You know this. We all know this stuff goes on, right? So they groom someone until they get them trapped, and um, then they isolate them. So once they're trapped, they isolate them, and then they put ultimatums on them, and it's horrible what goes on. This happens across all the different levels. Okay, yeah, sorry, Harmony Seeker. If it's click away, if it's triggering, I'm really sorry about this. I should have put content warning in the description. Maybe I'll update it just so that other people don't get upset if they watch this. But thank you for your message. Harmony Seeker says, I'm sorry, this is too close to home for me. I need to sit this one out, but do understand it needs talking about. Thank you for, uh, for that. I'm sorry that, yeah, I understand that can be triggering and upsetting. Because here's the thing is that this it's like I was saying, it's like a spectrum. So you have people from across from um, highly organized um, industry type situations that are connected to very powerful and large entities through to, you know, um, down to groups and then families. So, but the same thing happens is people get dehumanized, broken down, isolated. No one's going to speak up if they don't have a voice. They don't feel they can speak up. These techniques of manipulation and coercion and control are ancient. But you know what else is ancient? Happiness, compassion, caring, loving people that have shared that and inspired people throughout generations. The world is difficult and tough, and there are bad people out there, and there are good people out there. There is no simple answer to any of this. So, in this modern age, we actually have, with the monetization of this stuff in the form of the like a business aspect, is it's it's being encouraged, and this is just abhorrent. It's evil. And how do you stop something that is this giant machine? You know, and then when you look at it, nothing's new under the sun. This has been going on since in the beginning almost, and this can create a futility because you see that, oh well, nothing changes, but things do get better. You know, when we speak out and we shine a light on these evils and we say, you have to do better. Here's a way. So, how do we make things better? We have to come up with solutions. We can't just say, oh, the world's evil, all this bad stuff goes on. There are all these sadists out there that are imprisoning people as being their captives and torturing them and treating them like slaves because that's what's been going on forever. Well, at the same time, there has been a concerted effort to try and make the world better, but only to a point. And this is the sad thing. And society goes through these spikes or, you know, times throughout society where this sort of behavior gets normalized. So when you look further, that it's a greater problem that goes beyond people being indentured or trafficked because it applies to people that are somewhat free to have free will because they are ritualistically hazed in their places where they go to worship or whether they go to become adults as students or within social groups. This is a much greater problem. These heavy topics they are upsetting. I'm upset by it all. I'm angry and frustrated by it all. You know, and a lot of us survivors of complex post-traumatic stress disorder have had some form of these types of abuse. But let it be known that there are people right now trapped as slaves inside a house somewhere all over the world. They're getting thrown in the back of vans and trucks, sent here, sent there, often to their death. This is a horrible world we live in. How do we do anything about these people that are doing this? It is almost impossible when we live in a world where it's allowed to happen. Where the very industries and businesses that are created to try and normalize these practices in a semi-legal sense. When I say semi is because so many of these people right now are being trafficked. It's not legal. So it's an absolute lie. And these people don't have access to lawyers. It's the controllers and the pimps and all the people who are doing this stuff. They've got the money. They've got the connections and the networks to some of the lowest, seediest, evil people. Why do you think these victims don't speak out? And it goes the same for people who are in any situation where they are that frightened. It's because they know the threat that's against them silence them. So we as humans, we need to do more. There needs to be a recognition of all of this and the damage that's getting done. The people are being normalized into sadism. Before I finish, because there's not too much more I can say without, I could talk for hours really about all of this. I could talk for hours about the evils of the world. The damage that's being done to people is not only evident, but it has been researched and quantified. There are 2 points I want to make. People say hurt people hurt people. I don't agree with that at all. When I started this channel and I was talking about trauma and what I went through, a lot of people were saying, would put it up in the comments, and I'd be like, I don't agree with that. Yes, hurt people do hurt people, but most people who are hurt don't go on to hurt people. They just continually get hurt. This is a misnomer. This is basically a form of propaganda or mind control that is put out there by the sadists to get us to comply with their will, which is for them to just get away with continuing to hurt people and to actually persecute victims, to persecute victims. So what does this do? This gets victims to not speak out. Anyone who's hurt is afraid to speak out because they're going to be victimized by people saying that they're going to go on to hurt. It's not true. Most people who are hurt do not go on to hurt. Some do. And in a lot of cases, in almost all cases, no, there should be no, no forgiveness for what they do. And I could cite many cases of all this, where known victims of severe abuse went on to become severe abusers. It doesn't matter what happened to them. What they did was way worse. So no forgiveness in that. There could be understanding, right? But no forgiveness. But at the same time, the victims who are silenced because they're afraid to say that they were abused because people are going to say, "Oh, well, you're just going to go on and abuse." Not true. Not true. Which says they may not hurt people intentionally, but then their stuff, sorry, but then their stuff may act up and not do it intentionally. E.g., lash out. Yes, I understand. That's a good comment. So people who are damaged are they have difficulty with um, emotions and things like that, but they're not necessarily going to go on and become the same person that was what was done to them. It's only a small portion, and this is what I believe, and there's research into it that sort of backs it up, is that generally victims continually either go on to be continually become victims, or they silence the fact that they are victims and they remain good people. They become better people than everyone around them because they don't want other people to get hurt either. Do you understand? That's what I'm trying to say. But then, yeah, I understand that there is that people have difficulty after trauma. So that's a good comment. Go fast is back. Good to see you back. I'll I need another break for a second. I'll be back in a minute. I got my computer sitting on my bed. That's why it's like moving around a bit. So you know, like a lot of problems, you can break it down into its constituent parts. And things like trafficking and slavery are as old as civilization. And there are industries built on this. And in this modern age, it's actually become out of control. So the actual depth of this is, and the breadth of it. What do we do? The biggest problem is that figure of 80 something percent being trafficked online, and this covers from children to adults to the elderly. It's the whole. It's everyone. They're all being abused, and it's through this system, and it's done in all different ways. And as a spectrum, this whole thing about sorry, my alarm's going off. What time is it? 7. I can't even know why I would have set an alarm for this time. Oh, it was for. I'd set the alarm for 7 a.m., but I accidentally set it for 7 p.m. That's why 24-hour time is good. You don't do that. So anyway, um, I just think things have gotten out of control, and it's probably time that we put more focus back on understanding for victims rather than neglect all the people involved. And this is what happens. The victimization of the very people who have been hurt the most is done by design to divert the attention away from those who are creating, perpetuating, and facilitating the abuse. So, what does this look like in reality? How do we stop this? It's impossible. No, it's not impossible. We can reduce it. If only people knew what was being done to them, they would stop it. And that's the same thing as these people who are trapped. They've been mind controlled. They get to a point where they realize where they are, severity of the situation, and then all they want to do is escape and get away from it. And yet there's nowhere for them to turn, except they can still escape. They can still get away. They've been told they can't get away. There is a lot of disillusionment because a lot of these industries are actually allowed to happen, protected, propped up. And humans generally are too scared to even acknowledge this stuff going on. And yet it is so prevalent, it's everywhere. Could you imagine if this education system taught people how to protect themselves from manipulation, coercion, and control? So many people would be able to get away from these situations. Go Fast says, remember I used to do extractions. There you go. You're a legend, brother. Get 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 in, get people out various places and situations safely. I was team lead for a few hundred successful missions. Oh, brother. So you're on the front line. You're a veteran of the front line in protecting people. You're a legend, mate. So you were team lead for a few hundred successful missions and fall guy for plenty more. That included people that didn't know they were in danger. When I come back, I might highlight some of the things that are useful in making the difference. Excuse me if I'm stoner intense, not at all, brother. Tell us as much as you can, because this is really valuable information. You got first-hand experience as someone who's a rescuer. No, if says if not up for that, I'm back in a few minutes. Just say so and hold off until another time. No, like really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. It's a really good point that you said, and this is what you experienced firsthand: is that you go into this situation, and these people are so mind controlled. They're so like broken down, like Stockholm syndrome, mind control. They are like basically sex slaves or slaves in if it's not sexual, if they're just indentured for work or something. And that's still bad, but I think that that form of like basically entrapment, or people who are so broken down they they dissociate, and then they don't understand their situation. They don't know how. They don't think there's any way of getting away, and so the savior comes, and they're like wanting to stay there, and they're like, what are you talking about? You know, or they're so afraid. They've been so brutalized that when they um, when help arrives, they go into shock. I've seen that in documentaries, and they just basically go into a freeze response and they don't move, and then their whole world shattered because their only world was this cycle of brutality and abuse. You know, and obviously some will be not in that, or maybe most will be like so thankful that they're being rescued. And I think it all depends on how long they've been there in that situation. Yeah, Go Fast says, "Yeah, I'm not usually one to pick any side for politics." Yeah, me neither. Like, I think this problem's way beyond politics, isn't it? Too, it's comes down to money and people wanting to sell people's person. You know, Go Fast says, just a factoid: hire people, take their credentials or identification upon arrival, charge them more than they make in a day to stay in piss poor conditions every day. They owe more. That's exactly it. Indentured slavery. That's even existed here with the abuse on in recent times on people working in food production, and it's like the company store. The old keep them locked down. They can't give them money. They only get credits, and they got to spend their money at the particular place. Oh, and your rent costs more than what you earn. You know, their whole thing was to actually get a new start and like make some money to send home, and they end up in this place where it's all getting taken from them. This is Yeah, yeah. Go Fast says there's so many forms of this stuff, but generalizing the topic works good. Specific example works best. Most of the streets surrounding Disneyland is its own light district where most of the traffic. Yeah, it's. I've heard so many stories about that. It's such a dark thing. Such a And nothing ever got done. They just people and all the disappearances of people just disappearing. But that's a good generalization. That it's a known fact that that's what happens. So, Go Fast says so. It took over a year for 4 task forces working together to save 22 people. and put 4 people in jail for what they were up to. See, that's how much energy it goes into that, and I guess, um, like, surely there was way more people that were involved, but they only were able to get 4 people out, like 4 people convicted. Big problem nowadays is that it's been industrialized in the and spread out, like, so people just, it used to be like within like select circles and things like that. Now there's like mainstream websites that, um, especially, obviously, speaking about, you know adult prostitution, child stuff is absolutely abhorrent, and there's just not enough work being done to protect children, and they're the most vulnerable, and they can't speak out. That's why they need to educate in primary schools and kindergartens, even teach them how to, like, speak out when things aren't right. There's so much corruption in the world. It's a good thing that there's good people out there like yourselves, that have, doing this work to help save people. Happy Hermit's here. Happy Hermit says, "I go fast." Happy Hermit says, "This looks different than your basement. Did the possum run off?" It's since I changed the area. So I'm sitting in the corner here, sitting on my bed. That's why I've got my laptop on the bed. That's why it's moving. Every time I speak, it makes it shake. I probably should have put it on something solid. I just didn't really think about it, set it up right. Um, but the possum's still there. She's been coming and going, like not staying at home every night, but, um, probably half the week staying here. So she's got another place where she sleeps. So that's cool. And like one of her siblings has been coming in and like wanting to stay there as well, and she's been making a bit of noise saying, "You can't stay here." It's funny. So yeah, but she's awesome. Plenty of rain, so there's plenty of food. So Go Fast says, "Yeah, that same week I got 2 hotel motels shut down and triple those arrests of people that were actually heading up same operation, and saved about double the folks." Awesome work, man. So that was shortly after the attempted beheading thing, and I was stuck trying to learn to walk again. So I was only able to coordinate it. But they had the manpower ready to go. Just they didn't know where and what to allocate it towards efficiently. That's heavy, dude. Like, you would have been like just one to be there to like get it happening. And they like, and I commend your work, for what you're doing, what you what you were doing, and the people that are keeping it going. Like it's just these monsters. Hey, these monsters, like they'll. It's it's good when they get them and catch them. Good when they catch them. It's good when they catch them. Go fast says, "Howdy, happy hammock. Good to see you." Go fast says, "Yeah, just one example of what you can do to affect change directly from home." Yeah, exactly. So you're able to like help coordinate, even though you're recovering from a massive injury. Continues, yeah. Well, it doesn't help the CIA playbooks, including substances that, in some cases, are many times stronger these days than the ones referred in the playbooks are readily available. Yeah, exactly. You got fentanyl and things like that, and other things. People making stuff up that hooks old and legit to the unknowing eye. Yep. Within like days, they're completely hooked. And then even like you combine the substances and like, you know, this friend of mine had been isolated, broken down, um, car taken away, ended up losing a job, trapped at home. Very lucky that they got away. This guy tried to get this person institutionalized to cover up, was drugging her. These things, this can happen to anyone, almost anyone. This can happen to you. If the wrong type of person comes into your life, they can break you down, and the more vulnerable you are already, once they've basically cornered you, triangulated you, broken you down, then they can work on you psychologically. It's just nasty. And that's like spousal. Like, what is going on in this world? Happy Hermit says there is comfort to be found in corruption because it is nothing new, and other men who are considered greater than me have survived it. Plato famously wrote that. Yeah, that's actually gives you sort of strength, that quote. That's a really good one. I mean, it's sad, but it shows you that you can be stoic in that sense that other people have survived it and it's existed for a long time. And despite it, you can survive, you can keep going. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. That's another good quote. I don't know who said that one. That sounds familiar. Happy Hermit continues, I find comfort for now just accepting it and trying my best to bring comfort to my friends and neighbors. Yeah, that's a really good one too. You know, focus on the flowers in your own backyard if you can. You know, it is good to try to do stuff on a bigger scale, but you can't, you know, see what you can do to make your local place better. You know, compassion and empathy and connection with people around you really helps. Go Fast says, and some people have been passing around a McDonald's employee training manual amongst oil Saudis and some or rich folks, dirty money and taking real big advantage. Yeah, that's full on. He continues, it's about to get real mobster movie behind the scenes at the top. So who knows what way shifts are going to shift. Not government, the dirty money. We'll see who's standing and what they want to fucking do next. Exactly. Ignore, ignore the CIA rant if you want to. No, it's good because it's like this stuff is what's going on. I think this is what's happening. Is that you have all these actual things that become mainstream with these like websites where you know they're basically grooming women to sell themselves and they've gotten so big and they've damaged so many people's lives. It's starting to hit now. It's really starting to hit and it's getting out of control what they're doing. So they're going to fight each other. It's going to be like Goodfellas or something, or any of the gangster movies. They're all just going to start taking each other out. It's going to be a cleanup operation. It won't get rid of the whole thing, but if it can be reduced, I want it all to be gone. But from what I understand is all this stuff, it happens in big business governments, you know, all these like organizations that should be looking after people and they're actually part of it. Then you have these overt actual normalization of 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 things which are actually in the form of like, you know, pornography that's everywhere on the internet, and it's destroying people's lives by messing people up into fetishizing depraved acts and getting people to like become these demons. They're literally giving up themselves into, and these are I'm talking about the people who are consuming it. Now, I haven't really been talking about this stuff. So like there's obviously child exploitation, which is like top of the list of what we should be protecting people against. You know, there's a classic saying, you know, you can judge the quality of a civilization on how they treat their children and their elderly. What's happening to the children and the elderly right now? The elderly are having their savings taken and they're being neglected. All the veterans forgotten about. What's happening to the children? Same thing. They're being brutalized and sold off, and you know, there's all this dark stuff that's going on right now. It's gotten, and so you could actually look at society now and say we are really bad with what's going on as humans. You know, so, and a lot of this has happened because these industries have built up fashion industry, trafficking, like trafficking into sex slavery, right? And then you have porn industry, right? Trafficking into sex slavery. And they're fetishizing dark, evil stuff. So they're turning people are being exposed to the most extreme stuff because it's just there on the internet. And this is creating, like, as the generations go on, that's what they're exposed to. When I grew up, it was Penthouse and Playboy and Hustler, right? And there were a couple of other ones, but like it was basically, it was, but even that, you know, all the research shows, you know, of what it does to the brain, what it does to create psychopaths and just evil behavior. And you look at what there is now, it's like this multiplied thing. And now it's like we have social media. Now pornography's become like social media. And literally there are these people promoting extreme. Okay, so there was an Australian woman that just had a event last month where she um, had sex with 500 and something, 580 something, or 60 something men in one day. And she was starting off in group sessions of 20 at a time. This is trigger warning. This is what they're advertising on social media to send them to their pornography site. And they're making big money. The world has gone real dark and evil with this stuff. And she's not the only one. Like they're all like there's a whole slew of these, and it's the social media push to get as many people signed up and to normalize it, and it's just absolutely evil. And all it's doing, oh look, and that's just that. Now let's look at what's being allowed by the authorities to exist in the dark realm of child exploitation. That's been there forever, but it has gotten out of control. And my only hope is that there is a big cleanup operation in the world and things get corrected and people get educated to protect themselves, protect their children, protect their sons and daughters as they're growing up so they don't get forced into these industries. Like, what hope is there for humans if this is what's going on in the world? But yeah, go fast says ignore the CIA rant if you want to. That's kind of blanket term for Google, for the search engine or internet in general. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's not just days of I can't say there's stuff. It's fucked up. Yeah, it is. I can see how angry you are about this. You worked on these operations to save people, so it's everywhere, eh? You know, there's the blackmail operations, and that is blackmail operations, the use of like orphanages and care homes. Then there's the mass trafficking. Then you have the fashion industry trafficking. Now we have this Instagram, not Instagram, but like this social media um, trafficking that is going on, where people are being groomed to sell themselves while they're still underage into the pornography industry. You have the music industry that is hypersexualizing people. It's very dark times we live in. What is going on in the world? Basically, it says, I'm sorry to barge in this um, institutionalized, but it sometimes seemed like me that someone wrote me into comments, that's for damn. And that when I started to ask who is Dan, they started there also, there is also Dan. I don't understand. I don't know who Dan is. Oh, that's for damn. Happy says that, well, that's a quote, and thanks for the comment, but it's a quote. It's actually after what I said, lol. Oh, yeah, there we go. Needs to be gone. It's disgusting. Yeah, it does. It's horrible what goes on in this world. All this stuff needs to be gone. That is just destroying, like the trafficking of like orphans, impressionable people wanting to go to another country on a fashion thing, people getting groomed into it. And then you get the people who are just snatched or sold into it by their own family. This is what's not talked about enough. Is so many of these victims are sold off by their own family. They're trafficked by their own family. Not necessarily the whole family, but just someone within it. It's I'm disgusted by all this stuff that goes on in the world. What can we do? We can make people aware of it, of what goes on in the world. Happy says, and those people will be um, satiated by the bare minimum wages to survive. And they will call it universal basic income. Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. There's a lot of things in play in the world politically. You know, that's a big frustrating thing. Is that we're going through a change of era. And so there are a lot of interests that are wanting to reshape the world, and they have been doing so for hundreds of years. And some groups it's even longer, and some of them got common goals, and often there's a little bit of conflicting, but there's often overlap. But one of the big thing that happens within all of these big groups is all this stuff I've been talking about, and you guys have been commenting on tonight, is that these things exist within all this, and they're all complicit and in fact involved. These bigger groups that are wanting change. So how do they go about the change? Destruction of society. The breaking down of moral values, the destruction of the family unit. It's trauma-based mind control. It's breaking down and then rebuilding from within their desired want or plan. Forcing people to let go of things. It doesn't make sense. It's just putting people through abject destruction. For what purpose? The ends do not justify the means. There's no utopia coming if they're going to destroy everyone in the process. If we want a better world, if those that want to change the world, if they're wanting to change it for the better, change it for the better. Don't destroy everything so that you can rebuild it. Because all you're doing is torturing and destroying everyone's lives. Whether it's people who have their children taken from them in the middle of the night, whether it's parents who have their daughters or sons getting put through extortion or into prostitution, or the people themselves. This world is just messed up. There is no fixing it by just making it worse. It doesn't make sense what's going on. Happy continues, and this is from the last comment about the how these Hegelian dialectic type thing where they bring in the universal basic income, but how will it maybe that can help some things, but is it going to stop the trafficking? Is it going to stop the torturing and the sadism? Back in the Middle Ages, the sadists literally had shops on the main streets of the cities in Europe, and they would capture people off the streets and bring them into their torture chambers and torture them on custom made sex torture devices, and it was mainstream. Is this what we're heading back towards, or has it ever left? This is the world we live in. They literally had their own shops on the main streets, and they would just grab people, bring them in, tie them up, and then do what they wanted with them. There was no law. We need to we like we need to force the world to have laws that protect people. Happy says, I just admit that as a graduate of master's degree and having a well paying job, that I'm educated enough to realize not to be bring a living being child into the world to suffer. I mean, that's a painful realization to go through with that. And um, there's still hope. I think I think there is a lot of hope for humanity. But when you see what's going on, it is disheartening, you know, for the world. Glitch says it sells. People then push for more, with creates even worse conditions, and in the end, it might be too late to stop. I think that's a really good point. It just keeps escalating, doesn't it? It does. And Happy says it's facts, statistics. Look up birth rates, education levels. The higher education, lower birth rates. Mission accomplished. Yeah, there's a whole agenda for that. Population reduction. I've got to take a break. I've got to go to the toilet. I'll be back in a minute. It's been a heavy chat tonight talking about this stuff. But I appreciate everyone's comments. We need to talk about this stuff. And I hope everyone's doing all right. Happy says it is what it is. It's better talking about it than keeping it in. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so prevalent these days, you know. I might end the chat here. I appreciate everyone for their um, contribution. Maybe sometime in the next 6 months, I'll do another one on this topic. And I was wanting to connect how much of a thing it is. I could break it down and talk about each thing separately, you know. No, oh, happy, no, not at all. Happy says I hope I didn't run you off or ruin the chat. Not at all, mate. No, I'm happy to keep chatting for a while. At all. No, like I'm not at all. I'm just like it's you know, I know someone who's been going through trafficking and has escaped from it, and it hurts a lot thinking about it all. And I wanted to talk about it. And the issue is such a big issue, and there are all these people that are contributors to it. So just people who contribute to the industry of pornography are probably the biggest contributors because they're feeding the beast, you know. So if they stop doing that, it wouldn't, you know, be so powerful. So there's so many different layers to it, and there's different markets. So you have the elite, the political blackmail system, which is tied to intelligence agencies, and they've got their own budgets. You know, that's probably the most difficult one. If we can actually get Joe Public to stop jerking off to just porn because it's feeding the beast. So many people that do that, right? They don't even know that they're watching videos by people who are trafficked. They have no idea. Then they get into some kink fetish porn, and they have no idea that what they're actually watching is a real rape video. So they're actually people need to actually just do something else. Do something else. There's plenty of resources out there for people to learn how to have a healthy self pleasure regime and not have anything to do with pornography. Basic says, of course, we all like to listen to Almighty Liquor. Thanks, Basic. You're a legend. We'll have to, we all got to have these chess matches. Happy's keen, Basic's keen, um, Baby Steak's keen, and Cage Pasta's keen. So we're going to have like, we've got like, we'll work out the match because Basic Glitch is like the leader of the leaderboard at the moment. So we've got to play more. Maybe next weekend. This weekend coming, we're going to hopefully play 2 chess matches. So me versus Baby Stag, and then 2 other people play. We'll try and get that happening. I'll try and do that. I've been stressing out a lot lately about a lot of stuff, and particularly what I've been wanting to talk about tonight. So I wish I probably talked about this earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have been so stressed out about it all, because this is the thing. You statistically, people, so many people are groomed into all this stuff these days. Yeah, there's so many people affected. And this is just the legal stuff. And then think about the abhorrent, evil, illegal stuff, child exploitation that goes on. And they can stop it. They can stop it. I know it's difficult with resources. It takes a massive effort to do this, and they can do it. But the damage gets spread out across all of it, right? So the damage affects everyone, regardless of whether it's like disgustingly evil or whether it's socially acceptable because it's adults. It's all destructive, you know. Happy says it's difficult because so many have been conditioned to contribute to the system that breeds the industry. It's sick. Yeah, it's exactly it. They're often trafficked by their own friends or family or peers, or social media is telling them, "Oh, it's feminism. You're going to be empowered to go and do this stuff," and then they do it, and then they have all the consequences, and then it's painful. It's not their fault they got stuck in it. They were tricked into it. They were conditioned. It's a slow, steady thing, you know. We can see the trends in society based on what's being shown, you know. And I just gave that example of that Australian. I don't even want to say the website, but it's the website where they sell themselves as if it's social media. Yeah, and she did the stunt, and she ended up in hospital, you know. And she made a video about being in hospital while she was in hospital, about being in hospital for like, oh, what did I do? Like, what did you do? You just like destroyed. How many young girls have seen that and just been shocked by it? Like, hopefully it shocks them out of even thinking about doing that, but they're glamorizing it. They're glorifying it. They're selling it. They're conditioning it, people into it. And think about all the men that turned up for this event. She had 2,000 men that signed up for it. And she hired a venue. Of course she did. Who's hiring the venue out? Like, the world is just, Happy continues. Yeah, it's almost feels like that's a new normal in a very sick way. Yeah, exactly. It's shocking, isn't it? Basic says talk about it. Probably the only way. Yeah, that's it. I hope we can normalize talking about it so people understand that it's an issue. That's a really great comment. Yeah, Happy says I agree. Yep, that's it. Happy continues. I'd love to hold a position for a chess game. I don't know how we'll play. Yeah, that's all right. I'll set it up the same way as last time. Good. I'll have plenty of candles. I went and bought candles recently, so I got plenty of candles. They'll be well lit. The chessboard. We'll do the you know, real time. You just tell me the move of the piece, and then I'll place it. And then so it'll look like a video game, but you can't rotate the 3D map. So Basic says I finally got some job, so I'll have some somehow work around it. Beginning at the 10th. Awesome. Congratulations for getting a job, Basic. That's awesome. I hope it goes well for you. It's exciting. That's really good news. A good job, like, even if it's a difficult one, you can make a bit of money. It can be a distraction from like other stuff. Gives you a new start with what you're doing. It's awesome. It's really good. Happy says the world grooms people. Oh no, wait. Go Fast says, watch out for foreign Russian nesting dolls. They're quite real, quite fucking real sometimes, nearly twins. Okay, I didn't mean to laugh, but I thought that was a joke. But yeah, no, yeah. There is a, it is a big thing with procurers being often female. We saw that with Ghislaine and Madame's and all that. There was a makeshift brothel set up outside next door to my house 15 years ago, I think it was now. Yeah, about 15 years ago. And she was a trafficked woman. And the madame was selling her across the street at the shops. And we were near a military area, so like it was frequented with people from the barracks. And it took like 6 months to a year before they actually did something about it, and they finally shut it down. It was very scary. So the guy that fronted it was like a underworld figure. I don't know his name, but I could look it up because I remember finding. I recognized him because he was escaped from the estate down south and came up here and set this up because he was on the run. So it must have been an internal underworld fight. He came up and set up a brothel just to make some money. Used to traffic women from overseas. And they were next door to my house for like 6 months to a year. And it was very scary because basically I had no idea what they were going to do. I thought they were going to poison my cat. They kept trying to give me cat food to feed my cat. And I thought it was a veiled threat. I didn't know whether they were like cared about my cat or whether they were going to say, we'll poison your cat. I didn't know what they were doing. I was terrified. And, they left their windows open so you could see all the people waiting in the waiting room. It was just a house. It was a house next door to where I lived. And this was like, she would have been like 18, 19, trafficked from overseas just to be in the sex industry. And the madame was from overseas as well, from, I won't say what country, but like a well-known hotspot for sex tourism and trafficking and all the worst stuff. But yeah, that was a year that I had to deal with that going on. I just got triggered by that. Where are we? They use filler vocabulary with certain cadence to where you can't tell that they only know 50 words. That's scary. As Basic says, we either can play like our beta version game or online or somehow share the screen. Yeah, that's a good idea. That was pretty fun though. I like the idea of using a real chessboard. Like I've got it just sitting over here, and it'd be good to do that. Happy says, "Go fast." What do you mean? Go fast says they are trafficked, but they don't know what the fuck's going on and are only hanging around for bad reasons, not just to hang or kind of get away to save those people. That's difficult. Yeah, that's it. So they get brought in, and then they actually then become the scouts, and then they go and like get the new people, and that's what was happening with the JE case. You know, with Ghislaine and um, you know, evil guy. What's his name? Yeah, Epstein. In plain sight for so long. It's evil. But there was part of a much bigger network, and that was all connected to with Wexler and like the fashion industry and the music industry, and they've been doing this stuff for like forever. But also these guys have been like the you know, but they've been the main guys. But there was a French guy as well that was connected with Ghislaine. There was the three main ones in that, and then he got hung in a jail as well, or disappeared. Who knows? But he did the same. Trafficked thousands of teenagers from Eastern Europe, promising fashion contracts, sending them to New York. But he conditioned them on the way. Like these are the most sick, evil people that live in this world. You know. But that's what they do. They get the ones that are susceptible, that want to go on, and they brutalize them, and then they control them, and then they get them to go out and then collect more, bring them in, because it's much easier for the people of the same age to say, "Oh, come and work for this thing. It's great." They pay us lots of money, and then they bring them in, and then once they bring them in, they just brutally brutalize them, and then they're gone. It's disgusting. Habby says basic, as long as I can see the board, I can tell how to move my pieces. Just need to see some sort of board. Yeah, that's it. I'll have that set up. I'll have it set up right so that it was the beta version pre-release. But we got we were making jokes about it being a video game, so they're all video game terms. There's no mods. Oh, we did have mods. We had the lighting mod. No DLC. It's all free. It's free to play. No ads. Free to play. No malware. It's just like YouTube stream. It's just like we're playing chess. But we're having a joke about it being a video game. It was fun. We're gonna play. It's a good thing. Play some chess. We'll do that on the weekend. We'll try and that'll be really good for me because I've had a really rough couple of weeks. and I've sort of fallen off the wagon a bit, started drinking again, and I need to stop drinking, and I need to have something good to focus on and be positive about. So it'll be good. Go Fast says they're trafficked. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They're only hanging around for bad reasons, not just hanging on kind of getaway to save those people. This is difficult. Yeah. I think I read that one, sorry. But yeah, it's good to read it again. Because that's it. This is what happens. They basically create proteges under the proteges, and then just they keep getting them to do the work for them. It's a very evil system. It's like a pyramid scheme. Go Fast says, if you don't know what I mean, you're probably fine. If you don't know how nukes are made, you're probably fine. That's classic. Yeah, that's it. Yep. That's what happens, isn't it? Too much knowledge makes you a threat. We live in a world where lots of people know a lot of stuff about what's going on. So I hope, less people are afraid to talk about what's going on in the world. It's taken me a while. It'll take me a little while to catch up. Go Fast says 60 chessboard, multitudes of fractal cubes that chess pieces both play in the cube and outside of. They all interplay and score and time separate. Yeah, there you go. That's like total fractal in regular chess. Yes, that would be good too. That's it. I like that. Basically says hanging around bad reasons. Are they being trafficked or are they? Wait, you mean that I'll think I'm boss, but in reality I'm being used? Yeah, that's it. So they've been, look, absolutely, they're still victims. If they stay in it and they move up, then they become part of the machine. But the thing is, they're being used absolutely, and they are extremely expendable. So think of it just like drug dealers. You have like the street level pusher, right? And then you have like the next level up. They'll get rid of the street level pusher, and they're seen as the street level pushers. They're just bringing in new users. So they'll get rid of these people anytime they need to. They can always get someone else as long as they've got enough people. So and sort of thing sort of happens up the chain. It's like they're all expendable. That's the thing. At the end of the day, like especially for what they're doing, karma's going to get them. But that's a good point, because that's what happens. They are being used, but and this is the thing, is that this is when the abused becomes the abuser. And there's money involved, there's drugs involved, there's threats involved. They often show the brutality to them of what happens to people that go against them. So they're frightened. So they're trapped. You know, there needs to be a lot of understanding towards these people in that lower level. And we're talking about young women in their teenage years that are procuring other teenagers to get brought in. And it's this system is within the fashion industry paradigm, especially, as well as just getting people off the street type thing. But it's a very sick world we live in that this stuff exists. You know, Happy says, just sounds like word salad, and I don't know what you mean. What you meant, your or your. I don't know if that was me or someone else. I can't remember because it has taken me a while to read. Basic Glitch says exactly. It'll be 12 hours though. Yeah, but I do want to have time for my art. Awesome. Yeah, we'll find perfect time. And you've already won chess match, so um, you can probably sit out and wait. What we'll do is we'll schedule your chess match for the perfect time for you, and then we'll try and everyone will try and work around that. Basic says, "Oh, thank you, Luke, for the explanation. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it's good. Um, I do like I spend a lot of time studying cults and corruption and some of the like evil stuff that goes on in the world to try and understand what goes on. And it's difficult because it is triggering. Like I was chatting to a friend today, and she was saying, "Oh, maybe you need to like," because I got a bit upset from a couple of you know interviews that I'd listened to from survivors, and it's like I can't stop. It gives me hope. It does get. She was right though. It does get to a point where if I get too worked up by it all, but we need to speak out about all this stuff, and like there's things we can't do anything about. Like the really top level stuff where it's really tied to like stuff that superpower stuff we can't do anything about. But we need to keep calling it out. And this is what I talk about, like this is the political um, blackmailing operations and that sort of stuff. And also the major institutional organized trafficking that's been going on for thousands of years, like probably ever since, a long time, many thousands of years, but like most, it's just gotten more and more intense as we've gone along. That stuff needs to get called out because it needs to get reduced. They need to stop it, but we can't maybe we can stop it completely. Maybe we can. I'm not like trying to say we can't. I'm saying it's very difficult. Those two top levels, almost impossible. There's three. You have the elite, then you have the institutional, and then you have the blackmail operations tied to intelligence. Then you have the lower level, lower level, lower level, and then so it's difficult. Um, I think it needs to get when um, awareness is a big thing. So if more people were aware and just basically said, "I don't stand for any of this stuff. We need to stop it. This is disgusting," and then that way, if enough people were like that, they would actually have to do something about it. And here's the thing: there's a massive statistic is that um, a lot of these people, right, that get exposed to content that is created for on the internet for people of a very sick nature using children exploitation in a very dark, sadistic manner, in all manners. Those people then go on to becoming real world predators. And that's obvious, isn't it? Like, don't they need to like stop the industry that's allowing and they're letting it happen? So we need to stop that. And it's actually getting worse. It's getting worse because there's more people, there's more websites, and it's becoming mainstream in the sense that children are getting given smartphones younger, right? So they're getting set up for this stuff. You'd think with Big Brother, shouldn't they be able to see everyone and catch everyone? No, they can get away from it and they don't care. And somehow they're being allowed to let this stuff happen. I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. The world needs to get fixed and we're the ones to fix it. If it's not us, who's going to do it? By us, I mean everyone. I mean, you look at what happened in Belgium, like half the country almost went and protested, and they still didn't get a result for a massive scandal. Like, and this is the thing. Like, there is people in power that are part of it all, and this is where the intersect between the sadists and the blackmail operations exist. It's a very dark, murky thing. So, who do you say is responsible? Well, who are the ones that intersect between both? I'm not going to say who that is, but they're the ones responsible because they're the ones that could stop it all, if you know what I mean. Just give me a second. My friend just messaged me. I'm doing chat on YouTube. It's going really well. We've had a really heavy conversation about some heavy topic. Lots of people talking about stuff. I can't hear you, but if you want to tune in, lot of compassion. All right, I'll see you there. So, um, yeah. What I really appreciate everyone's input tonight, and I look forward to chess matches because we're going to have good chess matches on the weekend. But yeah, I'm optimistic that things can happen, that we can make things better in the world, and it is going to take the big end of town to actually just go right. We're going to stop this, and it'll be education program for children, kindergarten and primary school. By then, they should know. And then in high school, they can have healthy sexual education so that they understand boundaries and all that stuff. You know, the implications of things. And then you have um, governments saying we're actually going to do more stringent things. We're going to like do more checks. We're actually going to prosecute. Where in the past they just basically let people get away. You know, um, then then the next one will be to actually take the institutions that are allowed to get away with this stuff because they've got the highest paid lawyers and they've basically got a track record of letting the worst monsters basically continue what they're doing, and they're actually facilitating it and allowing it to perpetuate. They have no, they don't care. They're not wanting to try and stop it. They're trying to keep it going basically by what they're doing. So they need to be taken into account. And even though I was saying that those institutions are the ones that the hardest ones to actually do anything about, something can be done about it. But we've got to start with those things. So if breaking the silence is a big thing, educating in the dangers of everything is a big thing, you know. Happy says, I could play if you just show your board and I can call out the moves. Yeah, exactly. That's how we play. Otherwise, I do have a chess video game, but I like using the real board, and we just it worked out last time. I was chatting for a while, so um, I new to my news and social feeds. I only say this because I've suffered the same. Have you considered only filter the media you intake and read? I've gotten a lot better since I put hard limits on bad news and history. Yeah, I appreciate that comment, Happy Hermit. That's a really good one. I went through that several times, so every so often I will. But that was a good friend of mine that said that. So I know that person for a while, and they know that I I study corruption and history and you know all the bad stuff that goes on to try and understand what's going on. Like the history and the background behind everything. And it's like, you know, like the history of propaganda and mind control and the banks and this and that and warfare and empires, everything. It's all stuff that can make you really depressed, you know. But it's the history of all these industries as well, like the chemical industry poisoning everyone. It all just can be like really bad. Like it can make you really depressed. So it's good to have a friend to say like just ease up on it, and I appreciate that when she said that to me. So I will reduce the amount, but there's a certain point where I've got to still keep. It's like I'm a detective following a bunch of cases and I've got to follow it, or I'm a journalist, I've got to like follow the stories and then try and disseminate the information and then pass it on to other people so that they can be aware of what's going on. It's difficult though. But that's a really good thing, is to what you said, just like to limit what you do every so often, you know, and that has helped. So, and also, it opens up different things to study. So I want to get back into studying myths and ancient religions and philosophers, and not so much the actual all their texts, but like the meanings behind what people were thinking at different times in history and stuff like that. That's a good thing for me to get back to. Basic says, "Oh, happy. You want to play with me? Yeah, you'll find out pretty quickly that I'm not good at it. That's all right." So it's happy hermit versus basic glitch. All right, we'll have that. That'll be happy hermit versus basic glitch, and so we'll try and play a few chess matches on the weekend. So I'm gonna work it all out so that we can, because to be able to flip the chessboard so that each person sees it from their perspective. Now, you can do a thing with like the I remember YouTube Live used to have multi-camera setup and you could flick between the cameras. I haven't seen that for a while. Maybe they got rid of that. I'll see if they've still got that feature. I don't know if it really took off. I don't know if people used it or not. So maybe they took it away. But that was a while ago when they had that. But yeah, Basic says, but we'll need to think about something so Luke will not be the only as personal butler. Maybe. No, that's all right. I can be like, that'll be fun. I can you know what I can do? My chessboard, I've got a thing. I put it on a thing and I can spin the chessboard around. So in between moves, I can rotate it. So whoever's go it is, they get like the chessboard facing them, and then I spin it back around. And then spin it back around. I think that'll work that way. I'll see if I can get it working. I'll test it out. Happy says, honestly, I'm honestly terrible at chess. It just sounds like fun. Ladder competition. Lol. Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Basic says, oh yeah, definitely. I'll be at the Connect 4 though. Yeah, that's it. Beat you, says Happy. Basic says, I'm sorry, I don't understand Connect 4 thing. Can you explain it? Oh, you'll have to play Basic Glitch. Connect 4 is a classic game. It's like checkers, but it's like speak coming from a check, but it's checkers, but like check. It's like, I think it's 5x5, isn't it? Connect 4. So like you drop the things in the thing, but it goes up vertically. So it's sort of like Tetris. It's a little bit like Tetris because you build up that way because you drop the things in, but it's like tic-tac-toe or checkers. Yeah. It's a mix of all those games. It's a pretty fun game, and it's like you play it fast. You're meant to like throw the things in. Connect 4 is fun. Happy says beat you. I know, like, here we go. It's a board game, yeah. Simple people like me, lol. No, come on, man, it's fun. Connect 4 was fun. Basic says karma doesn't exist. If it exists, it's something like something that I didn't lie about was turned into around me and being for a lie now. They confuse the story and I'm in trouble now. And I have people coming at me and I try to kind of break me and stuff to prove that I was not doing this for that. which slows down my recovery from the thing. Yeah, that's really sad that you have to go through that, and that's a sad aspect too. Um, in the world, people, they can do that stuff, and they can gaslight you, and they can abuse you and stuff like. So we live in this world where you can be true and honest, and people can just turn it against you. You know, it's this is this is a sad aspect to the world. You know, but in the end, they will pay for it. So that's where But I understand what you're saying by saying that um, it's a really good comment, and it makes it difficult because you see people get away with stuff, and you're like, why aren't they getting paid? Why aren't they paying for it? Well, hopefully they do in the end. Doesn't always happen straight away, and sometimes they do get away from it. But like, you know what? In the end, they don't. I don't think. But that's my opinion, and I think I respect your opinion absolutely, because this is what happens. There is this unfortunate thing in the world where people treat us badly and they get away with it. Happy says, as a buddy of yours, I feel like replacing some of the doomer research would be better spent reading more positive things, even brushing up on philosophy. It's important to call out injustice, but it's also important to stand guard at the doors of our minds and health. That's a really good comment. Look, I'm going to take you up on that. I am. I'm going to focus on some more positive stuff. I've got some really good positive books to read that I bought last year, and I want to do that. So I'm going to do that. Thank you, Happy, and my friend who told me to stop um, listening to too many cult research and that stuff, because it will be better for me. I appreciate that. I will do that for you, and I'll let you know as I read some more stuff, and I'll start getting back into art. Happy says, so no, Glitch says, I lost a guy I liked during that Capricorn, but are happier now with normal person. But deep down, I am like, oh, common. I have to stand while everyone's pushing down. Why you couldn't stay, but Happy says, you've done your homework, brother. No one's doubting that. But sometimes the most radical thing you can do is rest your mind without guilt. Thank you. I'll do that. It's probably time for me to go sit by the stream and watch the leaves flow down through the water, and watch the reflections and listen to the sound of the wind and the birds and stuff. Basic says, Happy, you are completely right. You're all awesome here. Cool as heck. I hope I'll be able to help, even if it was only with art. Oh, that's beautiful. You will be able to help. There'll be stuff for the website coming up soon. I'll get around to it. I'm working on it with a friend. We haven't done it for a while, but we're going to get back to it, and that's going to be awesome. Happy says the world will never be fixed, much less in our lifetime. Look at history. These things have gone on since first man took breath. Best we can do is pursue and encourage peace and spirit. Oh, that's a really great comment, because that's the thing, hey. And that's sort of like the comment. That's a really good, similar to that Plato quote, but it's really brings it home. Is that these things, they've been around for this long. Focus on yourself. Try and do what you can for yourself. Encourage peace of spirit. I like that. Says, why can't your friend just chat here? Kind of. No, no. I think they were going to pop in. Cage Pastor says, hi, everyone. How you going, Cage Pastor? Awesome to see you here. Thanks for those, what do you call it? The quotes from last time. They were awesome. All those pastor quotes. Happy Hermit says hi to Cage Pastor. Happy says, why did you have to take on that burden when we all have access to the same info? It seems very hard on yourself, just saying. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I think my trauma and what happened to me, some of it institutional and stuff, and malfeasance and corruption and things like that, and it was my way of escaping from like my own, like what I went through, and sort of not being alone, just knowing that other people have been through the same similar things and then they've had to navigate the world. I think that's part of that, is that and I wouldn't have really looked further if it wasn't for those things that had happened to me. So it's a strange thing, but it is a burden, and I want to cut it back. I want to stop it as much. Well, I still not going to stop it completely, because I need to be aware of what's going on in the world. But look, I have already done that. Like what you're saying, you minimize it. So I used to cover all the news topics, and I used to be like 6 months ahead of the news with politics and stuff. And then I got sick of like being correct, and I just was like, no one's listening to me anyway, so it's just hurting me. I'm wasting all this time, so I just need to focus on other stuff. So that's something. Happy says you just need to make sure your camera mirroring is off, or just stream from your computer, and have chess game app open in a window. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I've got a pretty good chess app. It's like a 3D one though. So I could change the angle so it's like top down. I could do that. I'll have a look at that. I do like using a real chessboard though. It does make it cool. I reckon we'll try. We'll see. We'll go through all the different options, see what works. Basic says, "Oh, thank you for explaining." Basic says, "I mean, if I was lying, why would I admit to stuff once I discovered the whole confusion? I would be in sweet ambivalent, and yeah, and it would be okay or something. But oh well, stuff's happened. Yeah, positive stuff. It's really easy to get lost in the negative. We should do some positive. Yeah, I love that. It is. I have that. I suffer that big time. I get stuck in, like, because I see injustice and I want to try and fix things, and you can't always fix things, and it's like, but it does open up more possibilities just by understanding the things. But you can easily go too far in it and then just get upset by everything. Abby says, sorry if it's too deep, but deep down you're still seeking some sort of justice. Yeah, I am. But I've become accustomed to it. Like I'm not going to necessarily get that. So for me, creating something to help other people is what I want to focus on. And so I've been working with I got me and the co-founders, um, and then we've got a couple more people joining, and we're going to work on this organisation that's going to help give people a place to heal. So that's what we're working on. So I'm going to focus on that. I need to take a quick break, and then I'll probably end the stream in the next couple of minutes. It's been awesome, though. I've had a really awesome chat about very heavy topics, by the way. Very heavy topics, and everyone's been really good, and appreciate everyone's input. The incense went out earlier, so I'm going to light it again. That was really nice to actually do that. Broke me out of that being yeah, being a little bit too yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good question, Happy. And yeah, I want to turn that injustice because it's almost impossible for me into. I think what I've found is I've found some good things in my life, and I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful for the future for a lot of things. You know, I've got faults where I get stuck on things, and I'm learning how to be more compassionate and empathic. But because I generally am by nature, you know, like loving, caring, and empathic, but can always do better. I'm working on that. So I really am. Well, talking about it is one, trying to understand is human. Be easy on yourself. You're brave for facing it. But rest is vital too. Yeah, that. Thank you very much for that. That's a beautiful comment for lots of reasons. So I appreciate that. That's really powerful. There's no such thing. Happy says there's no such thing as justice in itself. It's only a means for regulating power relations. Yeah, that will. Yeah, is you could argue that natural law and natural order is the best justice, you know, and that things work themselves. They sort themselves. So I don't know. Um, that's really good. I appreciate that one. Happy says, I found it's easier on my soul to not chase justice and replace it with forgiveness and loving kindness. That is exactly it. That's perfect. That is perfect. Replace it with love and kindness, or loving kindness. It's even better. Happy Homer says, because there's no justice in the world. Yeah. Yeah, justice is denied. I agree. So it's a difficult thing. It really is a difficult thing because it's focus on those things, and then it makes it easier to. Basic says, well, I mean, if it motivates you to not do the same and even help people, would count in as a bit, yeah, as a bit of justice. Yeah, that's it. Well, it's sort of like turning it around, making it better, making good from a bad situation. And I don't know, like ever since I've started this channel and like reached out to people and met all you all, and like everyone's just got so many amazing things to bring to share with us all, and like we have these beautiful moments where we actually get to actually have a conversation. When was the last time I got to have a conversation? Like I spoke to an old friend from school the other day. I do speak to a close friend a lot, which is amazing. Like we just chat nonstop, and so I'm very blessed with that. But like, um, conversations like this where we've got like a bunch of people all just chatting about things, and everyone's got you know amazing things to contribute. It's special. So um, I appreciate you all for everything. Yeah. Case Pastor says justice is a process of continuous improvement, in my own opinion. Never done, always changing to adapt to the needs. But yeah, getting the needs defined at the top is difficult. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It is a continual process. It's like if you I guess that's a really good, if you look at it like that, as far as justice, in the sense that if we're as humans caring more for people, even though injustice exists and bad things happen, but if we're improving over time, things will get better. And we sort of have seen improvement throughout history, even though some things change, some things stay the same, like the song lyrics. You know, it's yeah. I think, but that's a good point. Happy Hermit says that's such a great point. Makes me contemplate that everyone's idea and perspective of justice is different. It, that's yeah. It is. But it is, isn't it? And our conversation tonight, I've got the same thought now, thinking about that. I was sort of thinking along those lines. Was like, oh, like everyone's got this sort of different, and it's like, and even like um, things like talking about karma as well. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. We can have these conversations and understand what we agree on and what we not necessarily disagree. It's more of what we agree on and what we understand and we can share. I think it's beautiful, isn't it? This is like being human and having a conversation. It's beautiful. I I really appreciate that comment, Happy. It's I once you said that, I was like, you know what? I've 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 changed my view on justice myself now, based on what Basic Glitch was saying, what Pastor was saying, what you were saying. So it's beautiful how these things happen. And it wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this conversation right now. You know, I love it. Basic sense. It is. Some people even have different perspectives on words, not only ideas, and it might create conflict for them too. Yes, that is true. That people also have that cognitive dissonance within themselves, where they've been taught one thing, but they believe another. You know, or they, um, you know, or societies, you know, like there's, or they're forced to follow a certain thing because of allegiance or whatever it is, and that's it. Words, you know, words are never really fixed because they are different. Everyone has different perspective on words, and I think it should always be an open debate of what words mean, and there's the etymology of like where the word comes from, but that's only where it was. Like there is word spells as well, because words can have a very deep subconscious effect on you. By certain words in certain phrases can be like spells, and they can really affect you. And so uh, words can be such powerful things. But you know, also saying that words are these beautiful things. This is where poetry comes from, and words have got different meanings, and then so it's beautiful. You know, we can appreciate the sunset and the sunrise, and I don't know. I love that. How that what you said then. But also, yeah, it has this reality of that words can create conflict. They can create conflict within ourselves, but also within each other, and they're used against us. You know, and they get changed. A friend of mine just said this recently. We need to change the words. We need to reclaim the words. So I respect what she said. And I was like, well, that's a really good thing. I need to do that. Let's change the words. Let's change the way that we say these words. Let's make these words our own, because they've been co-opted or appropriated by others things. You know, and this happens a lot in, you know, this is like the basis of propaganda and manufacturing consent through um, various means of like, I mean, even just the changing of words is a creation of destabilization within the psyche. So when a conquering empire or army goes through, they'll change the language, and it destabilizes everyone. They have to like learn new words again, and they can only say certain words. They can't speak their language anymore, and they can only say like 4 or 5 words, and they can say 20 words, and they can say 100 words. After a month or 6 months, suddenly they've got a new language again. It's a whole complete way of like reshaping people. So language is used in warfare as massively, and has been for almost. I mean, the history of language is that, and it's not always been out of an oppressive reason. Sometimes it's a sharing thing. So there is the sharing change, but that's a slow, gradual mix. But then you have the the shift. So if you look at, the Etruscan language got reversed and became Greek, you know, and then, you know, that's one example, like literally reversed. And there's other examples where they've reversed the words. They've had to say them backwards. So the linguists, like only a few people in the conquering army would know how to speak. They learned how to speak all the words backwards. So they could actually be the masters. And it's very powerful. These days, they just change one or two words in the language and it creates massive effect. Happy Hermit says it's healthier for me to contemplate forgiveness rather than to chase those contemplations. Yeah, so that is a really good thing. Never, well, it's good to remember to like make that a priority, isn't it? Because when you don't, then you're just getting yourself stuck in this negative train, or you're missing out on that happiness. You're missing out on the pleasure and the joy of like life, what's possible. Basic says it might, but it affects you always. Anyways, sorry. I still remember aesthetic class when professor told us about guy who had the idea that you should see art as tabula rasa, but his idea followed as with is impossible because your experiences and emotions are subtle stuff. You'll be changed if you want it or not. Something will worsen, and sometimes it creates this weird feeling inside of you. For example, if you need to defend people and you don't understand it yourself, where are we? Yeah, if you don't understand it yourself, but when you yourself reflect, when you self reflect, you might come to the cause in with way it might free you. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like trying to attain something. It's like trying to aspire to a feeling or to a known expression or something that you should aspire to. Why not just express or feel the sensations of your own, what you're responding to, what you're experiencing, rather than trying to judge it against something that is like something that you're trying to compare it against, and it frees you massively. A good example is like, you could try and cook a meal. It's like a recipe, but if you just don't even think about the recipe and you follow some simple rules and you cook it a certain way and you put your love and your passion into it and you make this food and then you eat it and you go, wow, this has got this really amazing flavor and taste and it's nourishing. And you remember the way you cut all the vegetables and the way you fried it and the way you like sauteed it and did this and did that. And then you're like, but if you compared it to a recipe that you read in a book or you watched on a thing, you'd be like, it's not that. You appreciate what it is for itself, and freeing yourself up by not having that restriction. You're still following some basic rules, you, yeah, I like that. And you can choose, but saying that you've forgiven doesn't necessarily mean you've forgiven unless you did the work. That's a really good point too. Happy Hermit says Lao Tzu famously allowed one of his students to go on his morning walks with him, but the student was warned by others not to talk. Upon seeing the sunrise, the student uttered, "What a beautiful sunset." Oh, I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Cage Passer says, that's a really strong point, Glitch. It is. Happy says, it was. After that time, he was never allowed to go on that walk again because Lao Tzu said he was watching the worlds, not the sunset. That's it. Yeah, that's a really interesting one, eh? It's like trying to define what is and what it's not, but by speaking its name, thou shalt not be spoken. I don't know. Sometimes it's better to just experience. I love that. Basic Glitch says, "Hey mate, I'm working on this one so hard, and it is also a reason. Why is it why is it easy for those people to bring me down? Because I take their perspective and really think about it hard, and it is possible and stuff. I might say chaotic things, but they also went through hard work and applying that. Another reason of slowed down recovery too. Yeah, look, that's a really good point because you're going through recovery, you're focusing on what you say, so you're actively listening and you're focusing on it, but you're not getting the respect from your change. And this happens a lot when you change and grow as a person. People can't see it, they don't respect it, or it's seen as different to them. They can't then reflect it back to like forgiveness. Like for me, it's like there's this forgiveness thing is that you're happy to like not say anything more about it and just move on. You're growing and you're learning, but they keep bringing it up, and it hurts because you're changing as a person. You're learning new ways of speaking and listening, but they're bringing it back to this thing, and they're not necessarily right about what they're saying. So you're still feeling this pain of like how they treated you in the past, and you're like, can't you? You're thinking, can't they just let it go? You're trying to let it go, and they're not going to let it go. So letting it go is a big, powerful thing, and it's very difficult, especially when you're putting in the work to do it, and it can backfire. For me, this has happened many times where I put in all this work, I, I go through this stuff, I go through this forgiveness, I grow as a person, and they might still treat me a certain way. And also, I've also suffered the fact where I'll bring up the past again myself, where I shouldn't have. But I've also been baited on that too, where I've been like, I'm not going to speak about this anymore. No. And then I get treated a certain way, and then I just go like, wow, and then I'm like bringing up this stuff. So it works. I've had both things happen where I've been, and I'm not saying you're baiting them. You're not saying things intentionally to make them enraged, but I've had that happen for me where I've been doing all this work and I've been doing well, and then rather than just staying quiet and you know non-responsive, I get rolled up or I get to the point where I say things, and then I regret. You know, that's a really good point. Happy says it was after that time he was never allowed to go on the walk again because Lao Tzu said, yeah, he was watching the words, not the sunset. That's right. That's beautiful. Cage Pastor says, I learned so many fun facts here. Thanks, Happy. Yeah, that's it. I love that. Cage Pastors. That's beautiful, isn't it? Everyone's got some really awesome things to contribute. I love that. I can totally imagine the student going for a walk with Lao Tzu, and it's like, and the person warns him, shh, don't say anything, and then they say the opposite. It's awesome. Basic says, hey, it's funny. Do you know that one with the butterfly too? Happy's got the big heart. So I don't know the one about the butterfly with Lao Tzu, but I'm sure it's good. Basic says lots of us watching words and not sunset, although we sometimes don't see it about ourselves, right, Happy? Basic says exactly. With the Basic says, when would you not put work into things? I would be so much chiller, but I really try. And yeah, that's it. I don't know. Sometimes I don't put enough work into things. Happy says, like you're familiar with the allegory of the cave. Yeah, exactly. With the hashtag Luke. Yeah, exactly. Because I wrote a song about the allegory of the cave. I love that. It's got so many different meanings too, doesn't it? Some people are seeing it, so we're trapped in our own mind. The cave's our own mind. Other people see it as it's the system of civilization and keeping everyone in their own position and not ever. It's like compartmentalization. You know, everyone's got their own role and different positions, and they're not meant to step out of their role. There's so many different, and Happy says, yeah, it's very powerful, especially ground our perspectives. Yes, that's it, and that's it. You can see, where are you? Are you sitting watching or are you being shown? You know, are you overseeing it, or and it keeps going. So who makes the silhouettes that make the patterns that get projected on the wall? You know, and then who's who created the structure? What's the purpose of it? You know, is the purpose of the cave to escape? Because that's what happens when you escape. You know, you you get punished and then you get thrown back into the cave again. So, you know, is it worth doing it, like escaping again, now that you have the knowledge that you're in the cave, and you know that you're not, these aren't illusions, or these are illusions, what you're seeing. They're oh yeah, could go on for hours about it, but yeah, again, everyone's perspective on the allegory of the cave is their own different interpretation, which is another great thing too. Basic says, "You mean Plato's cave and shadows, mate? I live in it. At this point, I take it as video game, and I'm beating levels." Well, I love that perspective. Basic glitch says the butterfly one is for the caterpillar becoming butterfly seems like the end, or something like that. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, because they've gone from one thing into the next. They're no longer the caterpillar anymore. They've become a butterfly. There's a um, really good book, Hope for the Flowers. It's all about butterflies, caterpillars. It'd be awesome. There was woman that came to the channel a few times. Haven't seen her for a while, but she's. I'll message her and say if she wants to somehow do a reading of it for the channel, because she did one on her channel, but it'd be great to have it on here. Such a beautiful story. I love that book. It's been an awesome chat tonight. I'm trying to find. I've got it. I've got the book. I'll find it. So look, there's your Plato right there. I love that. Hope for the Flowers. Oh wait. So this looks like you finished. This is an awesome book. It's like $4 on Google Books, or you can buy the printed one. It's really awesome. I love this book. Basic Glitch says, with reminded me of another Sue. I don't remember its name, but that the life just might be just dream of butterfly. That is pretty cool. Go Fast says, I'm back, just cleaning every screw and washer and part of a priceless dirt bike from a worldwide legend. Oh, legend. That's awesome. I'm sadly Go Fast. I'm probably going to like end the stream soon. I'm about to fall asleep. So, but that's awesome. You're working on that, dude. So, yeah, I heard. I've been listening. Oh, yeah, cool. It's been awesome. Go Fast says, just go on full OCD clean mode. I love that. Just get the can and just like spray it. Do you use like ultrasonic cleaners as well? And a bit of like mixture of things probably. With those old parts, you don't want to put them through too much stress, I guess. Yeah, still has the original tires on it with the teats. Yeah, that's awesome. With the teats as well. So it's like barely it hasn't been ridden if it's still got them. Oh, it's probably worn them on the middle, but like still got them on the sides. Cage Pass says, "Wow, that's awesome." Basically says, "Cool, that is, man." Go Fast says it raced one race, the Nationals back in the 70s, and it won. Then it was shelved, still noted as the best of it that size of bike to this day. How awesome is that? And you're like doing a full rebuild. Oh, that's exciting, brother. Go Fast says, yeah, very seldom ultrasonic, just gas and oil for the most violent solvent, and water with maybe a little soap for the most mild solvent. There you go. Paper towels, quiet tips, coffee filters, things like that. Preservation slow and take your time, not restoration. There you go. So you want it to like, yeah, you want to keep it, you don't want it to dry out the metal and sort of get some of that, make sure it stays coated from what I understand. I don't know too much, but I just know what I know with old tools. You just want to keep them oiled and like, uh, yeah, yeah, Q-tips. That's what you meant. Yeah, cleaning them out with the Q-tips and oil to hydrate any rubber or plastic. High stuff will break down, but too heavy of an oil and it's sticky. So it like creates a sticky sort of layer. Yeah, that's awesome. Man, this is exciting. Like you'll have to share photos of the bike when it's finished, and also some of your other creations, dude. Like you've sent me like photos of the motorbikes, and your Go Fast does some amazing artwork and some amazing builds of things, motorcycles and rebuilds of motorcycles. We'll have to share them on the channel sometime. I just don't know which ones to share because it's all awesome. But dude, we'll have to do an art swap. I'll send you some of my paintings and you can send me some of yours. I reckon that'd be fair. We'll do that. That'd be awesome. I've got like totally, man. Yeah, Go Fast is an amazing artist as well as like fixing stuff and engineering and manufacturing things. Gardener, a bit of everything. Oil attracts dirt, so have to wipe any excess away, even the slight film. There you go. So hopefully this bike's it's, what is it? What did you say? Restoration, not renovation. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, you did send me. You did. So any of those pictures, I can. Okay, I'll do that. Go Faster sent me like some of his artwork and like stuff like that. So I just didn't know which ones to pick because they were all awesome. So I'll do like a montage of a couple of photos, put it on the post it on the channel. Reservation only. Don't want restoration. Yeah. So it's just gonna put air in the tires, but you're not going to turn the engine over. Maybe you'll start it. I don't know. Basic says that's actually interesting to hear. Yeah, it is. I love that stuff. Go Fast says restorations are cheap. It's sort of like knockoffs. They feel more plastic than actual plastic. Even paint on metal in restored state is very dull. Go Fast says, no, I'll be riding the piss out of it and getting 50 feet of there as intended. Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's awesome. I love it. That's awesome. Those 70s motorcycles, hey, it was like the birth of the new era. You know, they still had the dual shock. I think the first of the monoshocks were coming in. It's all like starting to happen. And then you had like this full, like there was this battle between like the different. You had the American brands, and then the Japanese brands were coming in, and there was like, yeah, it was all changing, and that was before, like, I don't know, like those 70s. They're very capable dirt bikes. They're just not the same as the modern ones, but they're just as good, you know. Dirt bikes were mostly influenced by my backyard and front yard, literally, not figuratively. It's meant for here. Yeah, there you go. So I saw a documentary about the evolution of it, and it was probably all filmed from all footage. So those original motocross um, races were around your area. There you go. Most of the design and research and development over the years was done here. Yeah, that's awesome. And I don't mean dull as not shiny. I mean as no ring to it, no soul. It thuds instead of chimes. Yep, like the engine. MJG's here. Awesome. How you going, MJG? MJG says, thanks, Luke, and everyone with the heart. And the looks like dessert, and there's the rocket ship. and the space cube. I love that. That was a good combo of emojis. Go Fast says, yeah, even the old Steve McQueen footage for the Honda Elsmore was done in the backyard here. Not just around here, but in a few feet from where I'm sitting, not a few miles. That's amazing. That is pretty cool. That's like some history right there. That's going to be awesome, like getting it going again. It's great you got back here, dude. And like, Go Fast. Thanks for your contributions tonight about like your what you've done in the past, helping to save people. Man, you're a legend. So, oh yeah, cool. Go Fast says send some Instagram photos. Give them a look before bed. I will, man. Can I show? Can I put it? Can I show them people on the screen? Is that all right with you? I'll just put my phone up to the screen and show them. This is a beautiful looking dirt bike, man. It's in pretty awesome nick already. Like you said, it was already like you said, it was shelved. It ridden and then race bike. They cleaned it and then they shelved it. The bike's much more cleaned up now. Only is reassembled day. Oh, today is reassembled day after I take a short nap. Awesome. So yeah, check it out. That's the dirt bike. What a legend. That's so cool. Can't wait to see that running, eh? Yeah, sorry. I thought I was a little bit early with that go faster, like I already showed. Oh, there's more. Here we go. There's another one. Check it out. This thing is that's like a race bike, man, that won the championships in the early day, like the heyday of the early days of the motocross. But you can see in the actually I'll show you. Check out in the background of this picture. That's all wait, see the back wall there? That's all Go Fast artwork. See all the back wall there, all those drawings? He's a master of pinstripe artwork and like yeah, he's awesome. And I'll post ones of your creations soon on the channel. Be awesome. But look, it's been a really awesome chat tonight, man, and everyone. But thank you all for being here. You know, um, it's a heavy conversation we had talking about some heavy stuff, and it was good to have some really good constructive chats about it all. And also how to deal with the getting stressed out about it all, you know, because of the way the world is now. Hopefully it gets better, but like just the way things are, not getting too worked up, focusing on doing things to make you feel better and not get too caught up in it all. But if we all like speak about it enough for people to like not be quiet about it, I think that'll make things better for everyone. So Basic says, yeah, please for the photos. And then she says, wow, that's so cool. That's cool as hell. Wow, it's beautiful. Seriously. Yeah. I'll post some photos of the artwork and the motorcycles and stuff. I'll do that soon. But thanks everyone. It's been awesome. MJG's been here. Go Fast, Basic Glitch, Cage Pasta, Happy Hermit. It's been awesome. We've all had really good chats tonight. So Basic Glitch says, I can't see art well, but otherwise, oh my god, so beautiful. Oh, you'll see. I'll post some on the page, on the Facebook. Oh, not the Facebook, the YouTube page. Go Fast says, I'm going to kick back on the shop floor and get a short nap. Yeah, nice. You've been working hard, dude. So it's a good time to have a bit of relax. Probably getting close to all the birds will be starting to sing in the morning soon. It's getting around that time. So enjoy your rest. Thanks everyone for being here. It's been a great conversation, and oh, Harmony Seeker was here as well and early on, and it was I did worry about like people it being a bit much for some people because of triggering, and so but she'll be back next week, and I'll be a bit more careful in sort of how I make the name the title of the video so that it's but it is triggering for a lot of people talking about this topic, and much love to everyone. Basic Glitch says, take care everyone, wish you all luck. Thank you, Basic. We'll all meet on the weekend for some chess matches. We'll line it up during the week for the weekend. Go Fast says, cheers all. Awesome. It's been awesome. I can't wait for till we catch up again next. So I appreciate you all, and have a good week, and we'll catch up for some chess on the weekend. All right. Cheers.